This is massive for Viktor Gyökeres. Look, he has a unique opportunity and I'm just hoping that Mikel Arteta allows it to happen. Look, if I'm being honest, I don't see any other way but it happening. And if it does, this is not only massive for Viktor Gyökeres, this could be a game changer for Arsenal this season. We're going to get into it. Before we do though, you know the drill. My name is Jed, and if you could help me out very quickly, just hit like and subscribe on this channel. It helps me out so much. So, Viktor Gyökeres. We're talking Viktor Gyökeres. We've got a big game tomorrow, but before we do, I want to ask you a quick question. What is your score prediction for the Arsenal vs Leeds game? And I genuinely want to ask you, is this the game where Viktor Gyökeres finally gets his first competitive goal for Arsenal? And if so, how many does he score? So how many does he score, and what's your score prediction for Arsenal vs Leeds? And if you get it right, I'll shout you out after the game. So, this is perfect for Viktor Gyökeres. Look, so many people were slating him after that Man United game, saying he looks clunky. He's playing like he's got Timberlands, like he's wearing welly boots. But this could be the perfect game for Gyökeres to shut these people up. He will start scoring loads of goals for Arsenal at some point. Is he looking slightly off of the pace because he didn't have a pre-season and he hasn't done much training over the summer? Maybe. But this is a player that 100% will come good at some point, and this is the perfect game. You're playing at home. You're playing against a newly promoted team, and although they do like to play some football, I'm expecting them to. So I think there will be gaps for big Viktor Gyökeres to expose, and he could get not only one goal, but I'm predicting he will get 2 goals in this game. Look, it's perfect. We've just seen Kai Havertz is out with an injury. We don't know how long Kai Havertz is going to be out, and if you're a new striker coming into a club where there's competition for your position, you're playing as a striker, but you know if you're not scoring, there's a guy right behind you. He doesn't have that anymore. Arsenal are now without a second recognised striker. They only have one striker, and it's Viktor Gyökeres. So there's no pressure on Viktor Gyökeres, and I think this is where he's going to absolutely thrive. Look, there's a buzz around Arsenal at the minute. We've had a phenomenal transfer window. We've just signed Eze, first game at home in the Premier League after you collect 3 points in your first away fixture of the Premier League, away at Old Trafford, a fixture that is, you know, over the season's not been too kind for Arsenal. We've always struggled to get a result. People have said, oh, look, we've gone backwards. There wasn't no improvement in that last game, even though Arsenal took 3 points in this game, and last season we drew in the same game. So of course there's improvement. Of course there's a buzz around Arsenal, and I'm hoping Viktor Gyökeres feeds off this. Look, the game isn't going to be easy. I watched Leeds play Everton, and although they were at home, I was shocked by the amount of ball they had, if I'm being honest. If you looked at the possession stats against Everton, 54% possession. They had over 2 expected goals to Everton's 0.5 expected goals. So this was not just a comprehensive victory. This was a domination. Leeds come up, you know, they won the championship last season. They had a very good campaign. Come up, and they obviously want to continue playing that same brand of football. We've had the conversations about if teams come up like they seem to nowadays, wanting to play their own stamp of football in the Premier League, and they hope it translates. Over the past couple of seasons, it hasn't. And you've seen the same 3 teams that have come up go straight back down. So will Leeds coming up wanting to play be difficult? If they come to Arsenal and they genuinely want to play and say, look, we're not adapting our game whatsoever, we will come to your stadium and try and outplay you, I can tell you Arsenal are in for a field day, because there's a big difference between the Championship and Premier League. You could probably bridge that gap slightly if you're coming up from the Championship and you're wanting to be aggressive, you're wanting to be strong, you play some long balls and rely on set pieces. You've probably got more of a chance in this league. But like I've said previously, if you want to come to the Emirates Stadium and try and outplay Arsenal, you want to try and go silk for players like Odegaard, Saka, unfortunately, you're probably going to come up short. I say unfortunately if you're a rival fan, but as Arsenal fans, I'm hoping Leeds come to Arsenal and play, because that is when Arsenal produce their best work. We've seen it last season, the season before. The only teams usually that Arsenal struggle with is if it's a quick counter-attack or if they're sitting deep. Now, Leeds might come with a game plan and say, look, there's been some teams that have had some massive success sitting deep, so why don't we try and be resolute? Why don't we sit back and defend and allow Arsenal to come onto us? Again, if they do this, then maybe we get to see a different team sheet. Maybe Mikel Arteta will use some of the players he's brought in with specific tasks, like Noni Madueke, who people said, I can't really see why we've brought this guy in. There was an array of options out there, but we seem to have gone for the guy that no one really thought of. Is it because of that dribbling ability? He was one of the best carriers of the ball last season in the whole of the Premier League. And has Mikel Arteta got a secret plan for that? Is he thinking, if teams sit deep, I want players who can dribble with the ball, go past one or two and make something happen? Can Madueke be that guy? And for that reason, will Mikel Arteta look at it and say, right, this is a championship team coming up. Although they do like to play, they're probably going to be understanding of the fact that they're coming to the Emirates Stadium. They know they're not going to outplay us, so they probably will sit deep. So let me play Madueke instead of Martinelli. And if that's you guys making that decision, do you agree with that? Is this the game where we finally see the start of Madueke, Gyokeres, Bukayo Saka? Look, we know we've got Eze coming in, and that does throw a spanner in the works in terms of team selection. A good spanner in the works, I might add. He's one of the most unbelievable players of the last couple of seasons, Eze. If you're looking for a dynamo, a difference maker, Eze is that. And 100% he makes it into my starting 11. But for this game, you could probably, it's safe to assume that he won't be available. I think there was a bit of a cut-off with today. He had to be registered by 12 o'clock. So no one really knows at the time of recording this if that deadline was made. We can only dream of seeing Eze on the bench tomorrow. But if we're being realistic, it's probably a game too soon. So Eze will probably make his debut against Liverpool next week. And look, I'm absolutely okay with that. Eze is not a player you have to bleed into this team slowly. He's not a player that's come from abroad and you worry that there may be a slight adaptation period. Eze is Premier League proven. He's hungry. He knows all about Arsenal because he used to play for Arsenal in the youth teams. Everybody knows what happened with Eze and the story surrounding. He got let go, he cried, and now he's finally worked himself up into his position where he's back at his dream club. It's brilliant when you have players whose dream and ambition it is to play for your club. I think that again will make Eze go up to that next level. He's playing like a fan. Most of the time, fans look at players and say, why are you not acting like a fan? And the truth is, because they're players, they don't have the same loyalty. But with a player like Eze, you will get that. That's why it's so exciting. But for this Leeds game, I think we can still put out a team that could get a comprehensive victory. Look, I want to know people's score lines. Mine, I will go for, I'm going to say let's blow the doors off. I'm going for a 4-0 Arsenal win. People might say you're talking rubbish, but I'm saying there's a possibility where Gyokeres could get 2 goals. We could see a Saka goal. We could see a Madueke Premier League home appearance goal. I think 4-0. Look, in terms of team selection, I'm going to go for Raya. There's been a bit of doubt around Ben White's fitness. There's been some quietness out of the club. Nobody wants to really release anything. Again, at the time of recording, it might since come out because apparently Ben White is suffering with a bit of a hamstring injury, which would be so annoying. But luckily, we do have depth in that defensive department. So it's probably going to be Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori. I think Calafiori is right to keep his place in this game. Again, does he have his vulnerabilities defensively? Of course. But Miles Lewis-Skelly, if we're being fair, although he's a fantastic player, when he's come in, has probably struggled so far in the early part of this season and pre-season. I don't think he's looked at his brilliant best. But Miles Lewis-Skelly, one of the best breakout players last season, but early in pre-season and the first game of the season maybe was a bit slack. So therefore, I keep Ricky in this game. I'm going to go Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, Madueke, and Viktor Gyökeres. Let me know your thoughts on the team selection. Who do you go with? Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could do me a quick favour, just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.